Now I am.
Oh my God, shut up, I love it. Now, you know I want that to be in it.
When Noe and James asked you to work on this piece with Stefan and Lucienne, what kind of parameters did they give you?
Well, the parameters were that we had to be safe during these COVID times. So Zoom is obviously a safe distance. So that was sort of one of the new kind of learning curves that we had to go through, was how to interact in such, dance is such a in-person, and reading energy, especially me, I tend to really read the energy of the dancers and try to find ways to pull things out of them or help them get through something or really vibe off of like something that I'm feeling. And you don't get that so well over video. You get it better than I thought you would. But that could also be because I know Lucienne so well. Lucienne, are you just in a side split?
Just casual, yeah.
Yeah, just your basic side split. Yeah.
Lucienne, you have known Beth for many years, right?
Yeah, since we were babies.
So did you choose to work with her? Or did Noe choose and James choose that? How did this partnership come about?
They paired us, but I think Noe knew our connection. Actually, you and I were at the first show I saw of Beth's.
We were.
Yeah, and so Noe, I don't think saw that show, but as she started to like pay attention to Beth's work, I think I'd mentioned it somewhere along the way that we had grown up together.
What I'll probably start out with is like I'll just start building a phrase, but take your interpretations of it. I don't make my own phrase work. I do not inspire myself at all. So usually it'll be like, you know, move your head like that, and then I'll see what you do with it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, it looks like you want to go this way after. So we'll build like a phrase that way, and that's probably what we'll do the first. I know that I'm like way too backlit. I know. I'm sorry. It won't be here. It'll be better. It's just this plant needs sunshine.
So be safe. Aside from that, you knew you were making a duet.
Yeah.
Anything goes? Were there?
Oh yeah. Anything goes. And I actually chose not to do partnering, even though Steph and Lucienne live together, and partnering would have been safe. I am such a hands-on choreographer that even just not being able to sort of be up there with them with the movement was going to be difficult. Even I like to do the partnering and feel how it feels to be partnered, so I can make both sides feel good for the dancers, plus then edit from the outside. It's a combination. It's not just like, what does it look like?
Right.
So I opted for 2 individual solos to be filmed and shot separately.
Steph also has not been dancing for some amount of time, right? A couple of years.
Yeah, which is just incredible to me, because I would have had no idea. He's an incredible, beautiful mover.
I'm like eating pretzels now. Like, it's very casual.
Well, we've had the opportunity because we're filming at like a skate park, a skateboarding park, and like a BMX track. which is right next to a soccer field. So we have had also the opportunity to rehearse on the soccer field. They can go big, and I can really see how they've marinated and how they've embodied it, and then we can talk about putting it in the space.
You've actually gotten to work outside together in the same place, so it's not so much working via Zoom.
It was a concern of mine. I was like, I don't know how to work in this format. And there's something that's like seeing a person's energy, seeing how they respond without like a little glitch of a delay or any of that. We were just a bit worried about. So she suggested this park, and we were like, well, we can be like 100 feet away from each other and still see better than what's on the screen.
Sure.
So that was really good. I think for the format, like the goal was really to stay over Zoom. So we've done a mix of each.
I'm sorry we cheated a little.
We did cheat a little bit. I'm glad, as far as like working through Zoom and feeling that, I'm really glad that our first rehearsal we did in person, like from afar, because that established a baseline. Since we've never worked together, she doesn't know our movement, we don't know her style. That really helped to like get a connection going.
Just yell one out.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It must feel great when you get like released into the outdoors to move.
Yeah.
It is. It was almost like strange to have suddenly no walls and no mirrors, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
it was a really nice feeling, I thought.
After our first rehearsal, it made me so, I said to Stefan, like, I'm so aware of space in a studio when things are being choreographed, because, and that's a way that I imprint steps into my brain, is like, there's a physical feeling, but also being able to see myself in the mirror, like a visual memory, as well as where I am in space. Not having any of those besides just the physical feeling, I didn't retain as well.
So Stefan, you didn't have that same challenge? Or is it because you had the break and you didn't just come from a way of working?
It's like, yeah, it was totally like wiped clean.
You had brain farts.
I mean, I had brain farts.
Come on.
Is that the phrase we're using?
I don't know. Is there a better phrase?
No, I totally had, no. But I had brain farts just because I didn't remember the steps, but I didn't have that because of the space.
Yeah.
Being outside, it was actually really nice being outside, because it was sort of like, yeah, it was kind of like new and different. Like I was sort of like doing something that felt familiar, but doing it in a different space kind of made me feel a little more relaxed. Like maybe I would have been more like nervous if I was in a studio and had to be like my studio self, whatever that is.
Can I see that much with the music?
So do we do the first phrase and then melt back to the floor, and then we're talking the second phrase now? Or was this? Okay.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Can you focus, please? We're getting a little bit ADD, sorry.
Are you able to then smash the head down again and melt again?
What arm? Yeah. What arm is that?
It was the right arm
Okay.
on the floor. Yeah. Into a blank and then a smash. But I'll figure some of that stuff out tomorrow. Maybe bring the black sneakers.
I'll bring them. Yeah, I'll just wear them anyways.
Yeah. And then we'll kind of figure out what makes the most sense. I'm excited. I think these booties are going to work though. They're actually like really comfortable, and they kind of like look good on your feet because they like actually hug.
Cool.
Everything. So, oh, y'all are so cute. Look at photos. Aw.
Lifeguard.
Can we do that again with music? Do you want to take a second to think about it? Or just go.
I think we can go, right?
Yeah.
Steph?
Yeah. Have you worked a lot with filmmakers or videographers before this?
No, I never have. So this is a new challenge, but it's a really exciting one because I really like to think about my pieces from the audience perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And with film, you have to do that. Like that's what the film part of it is what perspective do you want the audience to see? And on a stage, it's my job is to help draw the eye and to help take the audience on a journey, and film kind of takes it to that next step of like, okay, well, what perspective is it that they're going to be seeing?
So are you and Henry then, are you saying, Henry, here's what I'm thinking? Or is it more collaborative in that way that the two of you are talking about what might work?
It's collaborative for sure. Like he knows more about film than I ever will. So he had the idea of shooting at night because then you can focus the light. And, I talked about having the two perspectives happening at once and overlap, but we also, like during editing, we'll talk about, or, flipping back and forth, having some overlap, all of those kinds of things. I'm excited to learn about that and to see what really works and play with him and his perspective and what he feels is most effective. So my main focus is, well, what Henry and I talked about was I love intimacy and like the feeling immersed in the humanity of it. So I talk a lot to the dancers about like, no, don't show me how you are feeling. Feel it.
Yeah, Steph, probably best if you just sit there if you're comfortable, and then we'll just reframe. We'll wrap it up. I'm gonna grab another cup.
Seriously, it does.
Okay.
I know that Beth and all the other choreographers have to adjust, but I'm wondering how that format translates for you guys who are actually doing the dancing, or are you not conscious of it?
I'm like self-conscious of it, but in a good way. Sometimes like there's a lot of small details that dancers want to put across to the audience, and when you're in a big beautiful theater and there's somebody all the way back there, you have to make sure that they see it too, so the emotion has to be bigger than how you really want it to come across. And so now we actually have the advantage of being able to do things in a simpler, more human way, I think. And then hopefully with the camera, that intimacy is going to translate really well. So I'm actually excited about that. Plus, editing is great. If it looks bad, just cut it.
I think I should get new,
The new ones?
boots.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, cut.
Is this requiring a lot more of you to distill it and really have it be so short?
Yeah, I think it's becoming more about the movement and the story that the movement tells. So with the dancers, we're talking a lot about like why they're doing each movement and what it feels like inside, and less about what it looks like from the outside and what journey they're going on. So it's more of a singular expression of, okay, I'm embodying this feeling through each of these steps. And as my choreographer, it's to edit, okay, if your rib cage moves more, I get that feeling more. But that's still a story. That's a story of that one emotion being distilled in that one video.
Okay. Awesome.
How has this situation, how has it forced your choreography in a different way because you're distant?
It's not as different as I thought it was going to be. I take a lot of inspiration from the dancer. I mean, I have sort of my own aesthetic that I tend to always lean toward. Like, people are like, I can tell that's a Beth Twilliger piece. But I do take a lot of inspiration like from the dancer, and that does come across in the video. I think it just, everything takes longer. So I also have the pleasure of working with two incredibly professional, incredibly seasoned, experienced artists. So I don't feel like I'm in any position to say like, this is hard, because to be honest, it doesn't take much for me to get the effect that I'm looking for. And I'm also one to say, like, take a few days and marinate. Think about what I said. It doesn't have to be the final of that moment. So just giving it a little bit of time, a few days, and then come back to it. And then it's usually embodied in them. They're willing to take on all the little details, and even if they don't get them right away, work on it, marinate, come back to me with it, and then we can move forward. So yeah, it just takes a bit more time, because it has to be more like, wait, that angle, I can't see your leg. Wait, you're out of frame now. You know, that kind of stuff.
Can you see that clearly-ish?
Yeah, do it again. The first one.
Like,
I think we started moving and then we didn't watch you.
oh.
So zoom, zoom, zoom.
You have to move your camera down.
Oh, me? Right. You can't see it, right? Hi. Oh, that's like too far. Okay. Oh, you know what I could do? This?
No.
Just
Yeah.
put it on the floor. Can you see?
No.
Is it just my butt?
Yeah, your lower back. Yeah, that angle should be fine.
There.
Yeah.
There. Your hips can kind of twist too.
How are you thinking about audiences as you make this, and how might that change the way audiences relate to dance?
I think video has always been like a nice, accessible tool for dance. I mean, for any medium, because it allows for people to not have to leave their comfort zone quite as far. The theater, I find, can be intimidating. So I think that it can help actually, I think, take some of that intimidation away, and help people to maybe start to relate to the movement of dance or the emotion that dance can emote from a more comfortable place. And then maybe when everybody is itching to get outside and ready to get out, they can maybe have a better understanding of what to expect in the theater. Even if you don't understand the dance, the music you can really relate to. So even in this piece, I'm using a piece of music that like everybody knows. Even if my movement is really weird and, you know, whatever, like they can be like, well, this is a beautiful piece of music that moves me. And those are the things that they tend to respond to, and they actually get excited about, and then they'll come back, and then what they talk about starts to evolve from like, that music was so cool, to like, I really, really liked it when these two dancers were interacting and it made me feel really sad. Or, you know, then it starts to kind of evolve into more of those deeper things. But I think focusing on sort of the early perspective is a really interesting thing for me. And you build the layers in, you know, like I want to see the things that are interesting to me, who's been in the dance world a long time, but also what other ways can we speak to new people? And I think film can be a really effective way to do that.
biggest challenge for you besides being able to like be in the same, touchy mode?
Biggest challenge for me is juggling.
Oh, your life.
Moment. Yeah, because I tend to become obsessed with a piece, and I'm one to have everything like very planned out, and then it grows and evolves once we start. And I also tend to work in more condensed so we have like longer rehearsals for a shorter process, and it's quite intense, which I prefer because I become like obsessed and I know the music. I could sing the whole thing, but I'm with the 3 and a 5-year-old all the time, and I'm also dealing with some other things because everything layers on top at the same time. So finding the space has been difficult to become obsessed. So it is a bit more spontaneous for me this time. Like I show up and I'm like, the music does that at this point. I was not completely aware, which is new for me, and it's actually fairly exciting for me to be in a different place where I don't have as much space to explore my own artistic ideas before I go into rehearsals, because I have a 3 and a 5-year-old around, and that kind of multitasking will drive you nuts. So
it's almost like a metaphor for how everything is now. You don't have the mental space. We're all stuck in our little physical space. The dances will be in this condensed space. It's all like one big spiral of looking at each other.
You need some space though?
don't we all need space right now?
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Go.
What do you hope that people who watch it take away from what you're doing? Or is that not part of your equation?
No, I think it's important that there's art that's made in this period. So I think that, I don't know if it's so much that I want someone to take away something, but just to have an experience that's made in these times. Because there's almost something that, like, when you watch something that's pre-COVID, there's something comforting because it feels nostalgic, or it's like you can forget all of that, all of this, but having something that's made in this time, and knowing that the artists are experiencing what you're experiencing, I think is important. As important as, like, in a way of connecting us. I think the performing arts have probably needed to shift for a while, or create new ways of being accessible. And I think this is maybe part of it. And hopefully we can all find a way as like arts organizations, I think we have to stay relevant, of accessing different audiences.
I think the other thing about this, about creating something during a time like this, is also sending the message of like, look what we can do and not what we can't. Like, it's not that we can't be in a theater not watching Swan Lake. It's that we can be still creating something. We can be making art, and we can be, like, showing people or encouraging people.
Are you gonna sew like 1,000 pillows after this?
Oh,
You're like so motivational speaker.
He's so cheery. I want you to come over and just sit on my shoulder.
Yeah. And now a word from our sponsors. Buy my cross stitch, guys.
This cut.